One of the problems when it comes to Amazon is how they treat their warehouse workers and how they treat their drivers, because turnaround is so quick. I mean, there are people who go and work at Amazon for a couple weeks and then they leave. And what's sick about this is that Amazon prepares for this. They know nobody wants to go work in those warehouses. It's terrible. So they've purposely designed the position for someone to come in there, work a couple weeks, and then get out. They don't mind if you are leaving because there are so many people out there. They look at us as objects, just, replaceable.
Reasons you shouldn't work at Amazon. Facility is ran by managers who have never done our job. We are looked at as numbers, not people. Highly overworked and severely underpaid. Too strict over 5-minute restroom breaks. Volume of warehouse can trigger anxiety and emotional distress. Our hard work is never acknowledged. We're only addressed when we have messed up or there's an issue. If you complete or finish task you are not able to rest, they will move you to more work. Out of a 10-hour shift, we are provided a 30-minute lunch.
Now, when it came to Emily and Marin, essentially they broke the policy in which they cannot publicly comment on the business, at least without approval from executives, which is interesting because, I feel like work is such a big part of everyone's life. I can't imagine working somewhere 40 hours plus a week and not referencing it in some kind of way. But of course, they don't care if you reference it in a good way. It's the bad stuff they care about. The New York Times found a third employee, Chris Hayes, who also was fired by Amazon after he criticized its treatment of warehouse workers. Chris was actually planning on leaving, and he invited a handful of co-workers to a virtual discussion with warehouse workers so they could understand what's going on there. At this point, he was planning on leaving the company because, of course, why would Amazon want one of their employees to go and organize a meeting where they could talk about how badly the company is? So he was planning on leaving, but before this meeting could even happen, they told him, hey, we don't need you anymore, just get out. Which is probably smart on Amazon's end because Chris is kind of starting a movement within the company before he gets out of there. This is not the only instance where Amazon has appeared to fire workers over criticism. Chris Malls, an assistant manager at a fulfillment center, was fired for violating quarantine and having close contact with someone who had corona. Also, it's so weird when I read coronavirus because I always think of the beer. In my mind, it's COVID-19. So then when I read coronavirus, I'm like, ooh, a little corona. Chris had previously organized a walkout to demand reasonable protections during this time where everything was so unsure, but Amazon wasn't going to stop their business. Amazon intended on smearing Chris by making him face the entire union and organizing movement and characterized him as a not smart or articulate person. Of course, they would do that. They see all of their workers as legit trash, unless you're in corporate, which they don't treat them great either. But if you're in the warehouse, if you are delivering, they are not going to respect you. Now, I am someone who has cameras all over my house. I'm just one of those people. Being in the public eye, which is so weird to say. I've got 1 million followers on YouTube, but I guess I'm in the public eye, and it's a little bit scary, but having cameras gives you another layer of comfortability because if someone comes in and does something to me, I've got 8 cameras that can capture it. But I might need to rethink this because it looks like Ring actually admits that its employees try to access customers' private videos. This is actually a major fear unlocked because I'd be walking around my place all naked and stuff. Now they're going to hack me and expose me. But I have been working on my body, so it would be a good expose. So Ring is owned by Amazon, and essentially these employees admitted that they have at least tried to inappropriately access customers' home surveillance videos. There are 4 internal reports of employees going above and beyond their job duties in exactly the wrong kind of way. Ring employees attempting to access videos they should not be is actually not much of a surprise because we've seen other employees at places like Twitter and Snapchat do the same thing, accessing private customer data. This is so scary. Actually, in one instance, there was a report that Ring, the camera Ring, and I guess the company Ring, gave certain contractors total access to unencrypted customer video streams, which essentially means that they are outsourcing business, I'm assuming out of the country, giving them access to this data. And of course, these people who are not managed by Ring are abusing their power and using our data.
Did you have a Ring camera in 2019? Well, you might just be entitled to some financial compensation down the line. The FTC published a proposed order against Ring that would see them pay $5.8 million in consumer refunds, as well as prohibit the company from profiting from unlawfully accessed consumer videos. The FTC's complaint says that hackers broke into 55,000 Ring accounts belonging to US-based customers, in some cases maintaining access to linked devices for more than a month. So we published a number of investigations into a wave of hacks targeting Ring accounts and cameras across the United States. We found hackers discussing creating tools to break into Ring accounts on crime forums. We uncovered a podcast where hackers live streamed the harassment of unsuspecting victims. And we finally documented in detail the myriad security issues with Ring accounts by purchasing and testing a Ring camera ourselves. Ring employees also accessed consumer content without consent. Under the FTC's proposed order, Ring will be required to delete data products derived from those unlawfully reviewed videos and also implement a privacy and security program as well as other stringent security controls.
This is so creepy. I mean, I would assume that anyone like myself, when you purchase these products, you assume there's like a layer of privacy. I mean, I didn't get a big warning on the box, a big yellow sticker that said, hey, Sloan, your streams might be available to other people. They might see your butt walk around naked in your condo. Now, I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I get an Amazon delivery and the delivery driver is, one, not dressed up as like an Amazon worker, but then two, just driving a random car, which I don't really mind. It kind of reminds me of like what I would see in Hawaii, you know, like the police officers use their own personal cars. They just stick the lights on top. So I kind of felt like that vibe. Amazon wanted to use this third-party delivery system, although a lot of people said it would be dangerous. But Amazon is determined to grow and grow bigger at any cost. In 2013, the company decided it could no longer rely on companies like FedEx and UPS to deliver its packages, which is why it started to work with smaller carriers and then eventually create their own. One of the problems with hiring third-party contractors for this kind of job is that they don't have control over these employees. It's essentially up to the third-party contractor, whatever company hired them, so they could go and overwork them, harm them, avoid safety measures, because this isn't Amazon, it's another company that will take the fall, ultimately resulting in Amazon employees getting hurt. Here's a TikTok of somebody who has worked in this field and has an idea of how they're taking advantage of people.
I apparently used to work for an Amazon DSP. For those of you that don't know what a DSP is, they're a delivery service provider. The DSP that I worked for was not running it very well. They weren't paying their drivers appropriately. We got almost zero bonuses that we heard about all the time from Amazon. Just all in all, not very ethical. They were just padding their own pockets. The owners were 100% against anybody getting any overtime whatsoever, and were scheduling to make sure that that didn't happen.
Wow, imagine working for a company and seeing everyone get a bonus, and then you ask your boss, hey, where's our bonus? But they're just going ahead and pocketing it. You also must keep in mind that Amazon has certain requirements. So if they go and hire these random drivers, what if they're high and on drugs and they hit and kill a family? Are they an Amazon employee that did this? Actually, an 84-year-old woman named Tella Sephora was struck and killed by a driver working for Inpax Shipping, which was an Amazon partner. Just months before this 84-year-old's death, a former employee told BuzzFeed News that Inpax had stopped paying for a critical safety monitoring service it had installed in every van, a service that would have prevented an accident like this from happening. When it came to that accident in Chicago, of course, Amazon tried to disconnect themselves from Inpax. They fired him and said that they had no control over that situation. Therefore, they take no accountability. So no sorry to that 84-year-old victim. But clearly Amazon cares a lot about what people think of them, which is part of the reason why Amazon workers were being paid to defend the company on Twitter. You can't make this stuff up. Imagine this. There are a dozen Amazon workers who are hired to go on Twitter to go and combat some of these reports about bad working conditions. TechCrunch, an online publisher, realized that these Twitter accounts were in existence and that they had these things like FC Ambassador and a little brown box emoji in their Twitter bio. The accounts mostly replied to Twitter users who were criticizing the Amazon worker conditions. They would reply to the Amazon hate with their own experiences, saying, well, I'm having a great time here, and, defending the bathrooms and things like this, after reports that people had to pee in a bottle. That would totally be me because I have to pee so much. Like, I can't just do like a 5-minute break every 5 hours.
Amazon's weird obsession with how its employees use the bathroom is getting way out of hand. Just look at this. It's ridiculous. Today, Amazon gave me a verbal warning about going to the bathroom while not on a break. They have a new rule that they don't allow bathroom breaks. You have to get permission now. Hold up, I've got an issue with this. Apparently, so does the federal government. If you don't know, the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, also known as OSHA, is in charge of making sure employers have safe conditions for workers. OSHA has rule-making authority. These aren't suggestions, you have to obey them. There's no question about this. Employers cannot have unreasonable restrictions on when you use the bathroom. And when you gotta go, they have to have reasonable procedures to let you leave and do it. Now, there's a reason OSHA is regulating bathroom use. It's because it is literally a health and safety issue. Employers making you hold it all the time are putting your health at risk.
Now, when it comes to these Twitter accounts, people are calling it downright creepy. You can tell that it's very calculated. The tweets coming from these accounts are way too positive for someone who's working. Amazon did confirm that these employees were working in fulfillment centers and instructed to go and create these accounts. So these aren't bots. These are them hiring people to create these fake accounts to then push a marketing goal. Thank you for watching this clip from the Let's Get Into It podcast. To view the full episode, visit the link listed below.